Hello and welcome to the full moon reading for July 13th, 2022. I am Amy Moonsong. I will be doing a tarot reading for you today. Here on our little altar reading area, we have Leo, the lion, as he is the sign that we are slowly making our way towards. And as we crest this full moon, we really start to feel that energy of the new season coming and picking up. And then over here, we have Isis, who I know you probably can't see that well because of the camera angle, but with the amount of time that it took me to get this set up right, I just said I'm going to cut my losses, and you know that she's there, even if you can't see her head. So today we're going to be pulling from two different decks. I did a little bit of divination beforehand to find out. And the first deck is going to be the Rumi Oracle from Alana Fairchild, who is one of my favorite, usually goddess deck oracle creators. And the second deck is called the Druid Craft Tarot. And this tarot deck was actually created by, I believe, the former main person of the Order of Ovates, Bards, and Druids. So lots of really incredible esoteric Druid and Wicca wisdom in this deck. This is the book that goes with it because the deck is in my pouch. So my intention today, friends, is that what we pull out of these cards today is going to serve whoever comes across this video, whoever watches it, whoever is needing some guidance that really resonates with the style of tarot I do, with my focus on spiritual alchemy, with my focus on the elements, and with my focus on this esoterically driven and compassionately centered type of divination wisdom. So we're going to start with our oracle deck. I'm going to read that aloud to you, and then we will pull a tarot card. Always reminded of the importance of taking time, being patient, and very intentional with our focus whenever the cards don't fly right out of the deck. That usually means that we are in a time of careful contemplation, maybe even a time of being in between. Maybe there's some indecision going on that needs careful consideration. And I always check first. Is this our card? Yes, it is. Okay, and the title of this card is Passion of the Wild Red Mother. Bring me your unreasonableness, your insanity, your love without reason, and your passion. The passion that makes you crazy and shoos all logical restraint from your mind. Leave your ordered thoughts, sensible plans, and appropriate attire at my door. Put on your animal fur and sing to me in gibberish. When my beautiful goats die, I make drums from their skins, and their spirits live on in my passionate play. When my birds drop their feathers, I gather them and put them in my hair. Come drum with me, as I place feathers in your hair, and we honor the spirits of my animals, of your animal nature too, wild and free as you are in truth. Stick your tongue out and growl at those who try to tame you with guilt, shame, and fear. Do you think I give a damn for any of their silly games? Those games of reason and logic. Of course you should do it this way, they say. It makes sense, but I care not for what makes sense. I care for what brings you alive. You, O blazing angel, or being invited by the wild red mother to participate in a dance of divine passion. You may be an activist, a poet, an advocate for justice, or a writer content with your own world of dreams. Or perhaps you are a healer, devoted to the liberation of the suffering of others and hungry to commune with the ancient wisdom. Perhaps you are all of these, or some other exquisite amalgam of holy energy in form. Whatever your nature, there is passion in your heart. A fire for something more powerful than fear can become the fuel for your life journey, if you accept the invitation of the wild red mother, of course. This is the invitation to lay aside despair, to lay aside doubt in the capacity of the human heart, even your frustration and impatience. It is time to quit whipping yourself and others, no matter how noble the intention behind the whip may be, and start dancing instead. Will you join her, the wild red mother, in her exuberant play? You can choose to lead through joy, to heal through love, to transform through suffering into what is meant to be the crucible through which ecstasy reveals itself. You do not have to analyze, to stay in the throes of process and ordered stages. You can just choose this passionate path now, if you wish. You are ready. It is open to you. Will you accept? It takes a great spirit, one with much practice of studied rebellion, to be ready to cast off the shackles of society from a place of loving defiance rather than fearful anger, and to playfully say the word, I have teased your stale bread and underdeveloped wine. I have tasted your stale bread and underdeveloped wine. I have had quite enough now. I decline your offer to gorge upon such lesser fruits. I prefer to feast upon bread, hot and fresh, and wine that is mouth-filling, innocuous. Join me if you like it. It is an abundant feast, and there is plenty for all. Even in the spiritually minded, there can be a driving fear, thinly veiled as devotion to the most arduous path. Perhaps for a while that serves as a truth of sorts. But eventually there will come a time when smaller truths must give way to larger ones, so the soul can truly be free to grow. Passion is the bridge that leads you from a smaller truth that suffering is necessary in order to heal, towards a larger and more luscious experience of life as a divine embrace. Yes, sometimes the divine lover, in all enthusiasm for the sport, bites you too hard, or grabs you with so much desire that a bruise remains. However, the passion behind such fervent embrace can leave you begging for more life, for more of that boundless love, even when it knocks you on the head whilst grabbing you. This is possible when you give up on judgment of what is good and what is bad, on what is apparently spiritual and what is not, and when you just realize everything in your life is leading to love. Whether through caress, a slap, the divine lover is seducing you. If you can accept this, you can certainly give yourself permission to love what you love, to live how you wish to live, and to forget about holding yourself back because some choices make sense and others supposedly do not. If you are able to rise to the passion that is possible for you, you'll let the wild red mother consume your philosophies and doctrines. She'll feast on your religion and your plans and devour your doubts and certainties. She'll tear away your need for maps and directions. Just when you think there's nothing left, she'll grab your hands and spin you. Tilt you back. Tilt back your head and laugh so wildly with her, spinning together along with the earth upon her axis. With a daring and bold love for life that will not be quashed, that wild mother speaks to you now. You can choose passion over fear, time and time again. So I invite you to paint the whole world red with me, with passionate nature. Let us laugh and change the world. This oracle comes to you with a message. It is a big cosmic yes. It is also an invitation to let go of suffering and struggle, not with regret or shame, but with gentle acknowledgement that it has all had its purpose. It now has a bigger purpose, that of passion, which calls you to engage in the embrace of life with more abandon than ever before. Now is the time to let go of belief systems and needing to know anything. It is time to trust in the beating of your own heart and in the people, places, and experiences that truly move you, whether it makes sense or appears to be logical or not. The wild red mother comes to you when you are ready for her at a soul level. Your mind may think she is a thief in the night, ready to pilfer all you hold near and dear, and be utterly in terror at the prospect, but your soul will be gurgling with such anticipation of freedom, it will fill your heart with sweet love and urge you to let go. Let her have her way with you, even if it means she crashes into you in the dark, She fumbles and drags you half asleep to go out dancing with her under the full moon, wearing nothing but your animal skin and a smile. She'll soothe any bumps and bruises you receive in opening up to life with the most tender and effective of ministrations, for she is just as tender a nurse as she is a wild, raging dance partner. This oracle also brings you guidance. You have divine permission to do something ridiculous, be it ridiculous in your own mind for your age or career path, or some identity or version of yourself you or another hold. The more ridiculous or inappropriate it seems, the more it moves from your heart without rhyme or reason, the better. This is not about hurting people or behaving without moral code. It is not about childish indulgence and questionable justification for letting the ego misbehave. It is not about the ego at all. The wild red mother eats ego for breakfast. This guidance is about listening to the truth of your heart and allowing your soul to throb with aliveness, making that more important than any restriction, opinion, judgment, or fear the mind, yours or that of others, could summon. This makes me think about Leo. But it also has such a feminine vibe to it, the wild red mother. And it reminds me that one of my most intense times of spiritual awakening happened when I bypassed my fear of being caught and I went out at night on the full moon and I danced in a field that was along the road to where I lived at the time. When we do things that others might consider reckless, unorthodox, or inappropriate, right? Not because they really are, but because it causes other people to be like, what are you doing? This is strange. We tend to open up doorways inside of ourselves that remind us that there's a part of us that is completely untamed, completely unprogrammed, that is not acquiescing to ideas of who it is that we're supposed to be in order to receive love, acceptance, safety, protection, and all of these things. And I think that this can be very specific to the feminine spirit, or the feminine within all of us, speaking specifically of women. There was a time when going out and dancing under the moon would have landed you on a stake, ready to be burnt, simply for expressing your wildness and your willingness to play out in nature, because that's not what a good girl does. Now, if we're looking at it from the perspective of just the feminine, which could be the feminine in a man, the feminine in a woman, it doesn't matter. The feminine in the human is the part of us that is not bound by reason. It's bound by the deeper knowing that is not chained to logic, that does not have to make things make sense, because it comes prior to the logic, prior to the discernment, prior to having something make sense so that we can make it happen in the physical world. So there's this value to allowing ourselves to be unleashed sometimes when we know that we have the safety of our own beingness within which we can do it. And I actually am planning to be dancing out under the moon tonight. In fact, when you're watching this, it'll be tonight. Right now, it's yesterday. But as you're watching this, I am planning to be out under the moon doing another dance for this very same reason, having that awareness come to me that it's time that I connect to this untamed part of me that isn't being swirled around and tossed back and forth like a ping pong ball between what I should do, what's expected of me, what's reasonable, what's logical. Sometimes we go through very deep struggles that challenge us on the deepest levels of security so that we can break free of where we've become slaves to what's conventional, right? And sometimes we really have to just break out and get a little bit wild inside of ourselves and shake ourselves up a little bit. And it just feels like that's what this card is saying. But it's not saying it in that Mars masculine aspect. It's the feminine. It's the feminine wildness, right? It's not a destructive wildness. or a wildness that has to go out and conquer others. It's about conquering the conventionality that's holding you. So this is beautiful, and I hope that it speaks to more than just me. I hope that it speaks to you, and that you're able to ask yourself, where do I need to allow myself to sing at the top of my lungs? Where do I need to go out and dance? Where do I need to paint a picture? Where do I need to write a story? Where do I need to do something that's outside of the box that's really been limiting me at this time? And as we're in Cancer season, what comes forth for those of us who are learning this lesson on this level is that we're reminded of all of the things that have made us who we are in our emotional world, why we respond to things the way that we do, what it is that causes us to feel safe, how it is that we care for ourselves and care for others, and how much of that energy that we're giving out is in a state of equilibrium and coherence that still allows us to live our passion. And this is why, one of the reasons why Leo follows the sign of Cancer, because when we go so deep into those subjective waters of caring so much and so deeply and being so attached to others and to caring, Leo says, is there energy left for your expression? Is there energy left for your creativity? Is there energy left for the passion that drove you as a child before you knew that you had to be worried about what other people thought or felt about what you did? And are you able to still find and express this? He helps to bring that balance that the moon, that Cancer energy takes us into. But they're both so necessary for us. Because if we don't understand what motivates us and how we have those emotional boundaries in our world that separate us between others, then our expression gets drowned out by what other people need, want, think, feel, and we can lose ourselves so very easily in that. But there's a beauty in that balance, there's a beauty in that coherence. But it looks like tonight we need to get a little bit wild. Now, let's see what tarot cards are going to be coming out. I'm going to ask, is it just going to be one card for us today? Yes, it is. Because that was quite a little lengthy read. I wanted to keep this somewhat concise, so we'll be pulling one tarot card. To ask, is this our card? Is this card meant to be upright? Yes, it is. There it is. The Ace of Swords. Why? Why is it that we need to do this dance of wildness? Why is it that we need to abandon conventionality and worrying about all of the dramas and worrying about all of the situations and worrying about all of the choices that we have to make and which one is the right one and which path is the right path and how's everybody going to feel? Why do we need to let go and be wild for a moment? Because if we do, it's going to shake us loose. It's going to pull us up out of the murky depths of all of this beautiful but heavy Cancerian energy, and it is going to remind us how to breathe, how to be out of breath, and to come up with a completely new perspective, a new truth, a new awareness, a new dawn that's going to bring our creativity forth in a new way. This is the truth. But you can't understand what the truth is unless you understand yourself. And you can't understand yourself unless you know how to be in the water. Unless you've sunk down into it and you've understood at the core level, at the emotional, the level of memory and attachment and connection. What makes you who you are in that sense? or how you are in that sense in your experience. Because there are rivers of energy that pour from us based off of the attachments that we have and the emotions that we feel, not only about ourselves, but about others. About what we believe our capacity is, about what others believe that our capacity is, about what we believe it is we're supposed to do and what our purpose is, and what other people believe that we're supposed to do, and what other people believe that our purpose is. It's enough to make you crazy if you're highly empathic. I don't know about you guys, but I have been feeling a little bit crazy lately. And this is a welcomed respite that says, I'm going to give myself the opportunity to come up from these depths with the sword of truth in my hand, with Excalibur in my hand. And I'm going to pierce the skies and pierce these watery clouds and invite the sun to come out. Invite Leo to come forth. So one aspect on the full moon, and I know we're not speaking too much about the astrology of the full moon, but one aspect of it that I would like to talk about is that obviously it's in Capricorn, which is the opposite of Cancer. And the beauty that I always experience in these lunations that happen throughout the course of one astrological season to another is that when we have the new moon, it is the moon is conjunct with the sun. So we had a new moon in Cancer at the beginning of the season, which really just takes us into that deep subconscious depth, that concentrated energy of what that new season is, of what Cancer is in this sense, and who you are on that deep level. But once we get to that point, that cycle in the moon phase where we're at the full moon, then we're standing at a point of opposition. And what's being illuminated by the full moon is that Capricorn energy, which is the polarity of Cancer, which then gives us that perspective. It pulls us out of that intensity of that subjective emotional Cancer space. It pulls us out and it puts us more into that objective Capricorn energy that then helps us to see. We can see the value of all of the subjective, emotional, the attachment and all of it. But then we're also able to have this perspective that can see it more practically, that isn't completely overwhelmed and overcome by what everybody else needs and feels. It's able to say, regardless of all of this, this is what I must do. This is what I need to do for myself so that I can express how I want to be now, that I can let my passion come forth in a way that it's not being watered down in any way. But it's also not out of our control, and that's the important thing. We have a responsibility to be in control of our passion. Because if we are not in control of how we channel our passion, then it is like getting on a wild horse that's completely untamed, that is not connected to what we want, and it will go and it will do what it wants, heedless of any of that actual linear intelligence that we need to make our passion endure and become something sustainable. So when we are in control of channeling our passion, that is when we are on the horse that is tame, that is sensitive, but that we can still get on that horse and we can give it permission to be stronger and faster and wild and let it do what it wants with our conscious awareness there with it, that's able to direct it, to lead it, and to guide it so that we become one with that power inside of us. And that's part of that primal nature that's being spoken to here, that animal nature. And Leo knows all about that primal animal nature. But it's not just about the self. It is about others as well. Leo, the fire sign, the second fire sign, the fixed fire sign, is about expressing yourself to others. It is about sharing who you are, whereas Aries is more about just recognizing yourself to begin with and charging out into the world and me first, which is okay, right? But it also has its shadow side. Leo is different. So this is about how you want to share your passionate wildness with everybody else. But it requires your intelligence, your truth. It requires you to rise up out of those murky depths. And that, my friends, is the reading that we have for today. I really hope that this encouraged you. I hope that it helped you. And if you ever feel compelled, if you'd like to have a personal reading from me, please, by all means, contact me through the link that you'll find in this video. And be on the lookout for more videos from me. I am hoping to begin a new esoteric tarot series to share with you the wisdom of elementally based tarot, which is also based in astrology, numerology, Kabbalah, and a whole lot of heart. Happy full moon.